G'day Bomber fans, it's been a big preseason. As we all know, we've had some big sessions in the last week or so, since the long weekend really. We've had another match sim session recently, which is always fun. So today I'm going to do something I did a while back and name 5 players that are tearing up on the track, 5 players that are having a great preseason, or at least have been in the recent weeks. And now I won't be naming any of the same guys I did last time, so if you see Caddy or Durham or someone missing, that is probably why. Go check out that video if you want to see them. And I have tried to get a nice blend of quality in. It's not just going to be stars of the team, a few different positions as well. And if you guys have any names that you think I've missed out, let me know down below who you think's having a great year. I might do another one of these videos later on, but let's just get into it. We start with Archie Roberts, someone who hasn't really been making headlines at all this preseason, and aside from a good 2k time trial, he's actually been relatively quiet most of the time, but he exploded on the weekend. He was on every fan's lips, or that's not how the phrase goes. He was the name on every fan's lips, that sounds better. He was pushed up onto a wing, and I think that's the plan. His big weakness in his junior years was his defensive work. He was a halfback who often left his opponent unattended, but he showed off his tank, working both ways with less pressure on his defensive work. I think a wing makes sense for him. He always had good ball use, but fans that didn't see it from his draft campaign finally got to see it firsthand. Everyone was impressed by this guy on the weekend. He was never a pick 50 or 60 or whatever we took him with. The guy had an elite draft year and slid so far. We got really lucky here. I really do rate him, and fans are starting to do the same. He hasn't pushed his case forward for a round 1 debut, I would say. He's still got a lot of work to do. He has other areas of his game that need improving, but he has shown he is probably the best of the draftees other than Caddy. He is going to make that wing or halfback role a difficult one for Scott to choose from in the coming years, maybe even later in the season the way he's training now. So it's a good thing to have. He's got a great left foot, really damaging. I've been a big fan of this kid for a while now. Next up is Darcy Parish, a player that generates criticism quite often from fans because of his ball use, but he has impressed many this preseason, both with his ball winning ability, which is not really anything new. We know that he's one of the best, or one of the most prolific ball winning midfielders in the comp. He has been since 2021, but many are starting to notice improvement with his ball use as well, which we're all hoping lasts until round 1 or further than round 1. Even a 5 to 10% improvement with his efficiency would be noticeable. A 30 disposal per game player that can lace out a kick is a dream, and I'm not saying Parish is that type of player yet, but he has shown signs that he has been working on this area of his game, which is exactly what we need in that engine room. We can't just rely on Merritt to be our sole ball user going inside 50, or at least the only effective player going inside 50. But Parish is in the last couple of weeks has impressed, and I've heard his name pop up a lot in relation to his kicking, which in the past has always been negative, but for once it's actually good for a change, which is really good. Peter Wright, another one of these star players that we shouldn't really be surprised about, performing well. A lot of his best footy this preseason has come in match sim when he is matched up on teammates. He's a good test for the younger backs. You see him completely dominating Baldwin and Hayes whenever he is matched up on them, so it's a good learning experience for those younger key defenders, and he makes life difficult for our bigger backs as well. He's always a presence, he's always a marking target, just about always the leading goal scorer when he features. It's great after he missed so much game time last year. He obviously had that shoulder injury just days before the season started, which we are hoping doesn't happen again. I think a full year of Peter Wright could be really dangerous for other clubs. He was pretty decent last year, averaged 1.9 goals a game, but now we have a full preseason with Langford up there and Jones and Caddy too. We're starting to see synergy and chemistry, which is needed. It was missed in that second half of the year, so it's good to see us firing across the forward line through Peter Wright. We go down the other end of the field now, Zach Reid. I think every Essendon fan is nervous / excited for Zach Reid this year. He's the fittest he's ever been. I know we say that a lot about players this time of the year, but for Reid it's undeniably true. He hasn't had any injury niggles or anything. He's in terrific nick, and he is really challenging for a round 1 spot. There is every chance he replaces Jaden Laverde in that second key defensive pillar role. He's a big body, gotten much bigger since we last saw him in 2022. He has shown those long arms come in handy when spoiling, and that bigger frame makes him harder to bully than he was back when he first started. For a while, many internally have rated him the highest potential of the 2020 draftees with Cox and Perkins, and this preseason fans are starting to understand why that is. Many of you guys have him in your starting 22. I personally do as well. I'd like to see him overtake Laverde. I think we're all really excited for him. It's almost like a new signing in a way. I've been talking about Reid in the same nature as I have talked about Gresham and Caddy and Mackay. I just hope he doesn't face any more setbacks, because that would be really unfortunate. And finally, a bit of a surprise pick. I didn't want to just chuck down Zach Merritt or someone, but Nick Hind. I think there is something cooking here with Hind. He's obviously been our chaotic running halfback for a few years, but with our changes to our defensive structure and the focus on ball use, he has clearly lost his spot. But he may have found a role in our forward line as that pressure forward forward that he started his AFL career as. He played that role for St Kilda. He even played that role once or twice as the sub for us last year. I remember him coming on from the bench in gather round and kicking a couple of goals against Melbourne. It was a promising cameo that Scott clearly saw potential in. Hind has been stating his case for a round one start. He is creating really he's created a good lot of depth with Guelphy and Menzies as options as well, and he's making life harder for the young Davies and Wanganeen. But I like it. I like that Hind is reinventing himself a bit in a new role, because I can't really see us going that far with him at half back. I really like Hind as a player. He's really loyal. I've rated the guy since he played VFL footy with us, and I'd be really happy to see him play in that new forward pressure role. We lack it a bit, and with his speed and tenacity, it's something I could potentially see working. It's worked so far this year. He definitely fits in. But that is all. Those are the 5 players that have been tearing up on the track recently. If I've left anyone out, like I said, it's because I've made that other video. I am possibly planning to chuck another one out before the season starts, so let me know down below who you would have had down here. Like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new to the channel, and as always, go Bombers.